Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High God Yahweh. And I do so by Hashem Yahushai. That's all praises to the Most High God in the name of His only begotten Son, our Lord and Savior. And this is Lahab from the Angels of Yahweh Camp, South Carolina. And I wanted to make a video talking about the different natural disasters that's currently going on and how the Bible talks about these different natural disasters and how this shows that Yahushua is closer and closer to his return back onto this earth. I'm gonna play a few videos and then we'll get into it.
This morning, millions waking up to devastation across the Midwest. After monster summer storms barreled through multiple states, packing winds powerful enough to flip this car. Lift this train car right off its tracks. Oh my God! And blow the roof off of this gas station. In Portage, Indiana, a home catching on fire, leaving one person dead. The cause, the weather, also making it harder for emergency responders to reach the site. Farther south, a 4-year-old boy was killed after a tree fell on his home. Authorities in the state calling Tuesday's storm the worst they've ever seen.
We have not had a disaster of this size before.
The Chicago area also slammed. Intense storm clouds made the day look like night. Crowds in the iconic Navy Pier taking cover in a parking garage. In Frankfort, Illinois, crews spraying hotspots for hours after this house fire that officials believe was caused either by a lightning strike or powerful winds ripping down live power lines. Tammy McKee and her mother barely made it out alive.
It's just devastating. It's heartbreaking.
In Ohio, the governor declaring a state of emergency amid widespread flooding after storms there claimed at least one life. The monster system also knocking out power to more than 1 million customers across 4 states. A relentless summer of severe weather that's showing no sign of letting up.
Yeah, and this system was, as you saw, stunningly strong, with hundreds of severe wind reports and heartbreaking scenes of damage across the Midwest. Savannah, Craig.
All right, Maggie, thank you.
All right, Al is standing by with a closer look at today's forecast. Looks like some storms are already on.
Right, so across the U.S., really, you have a lot of major thunderstorms that are currently going on across the U.S., knocking out power, right? So people not having electricity in their houses, they can't warm their food up, can't keep their food cold, right? You got a lot of flooding going on. And the Bible talks about this, right? Let me, Slovakia. Trying to pull the verse up. Let me see. Okay. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 29 and verse 6. Thou shalt be visited of the Lord of hosts with thunder and with earthquake and great noise. And we'll get into the earthquakes in a minute. With storm and tempest, right? And that's what you just saw. With storm and tempest and with thunder, right? Because even at the beginning of this year or around it, well, in July alone, you know, while July 4th was going on, you had a bunch of thundering that was also going on as fireworks were being lit. And of course, around the New Year's celebration, thunder going on, right? But you know, these storms are talked about right? All of these are signs showing that Yahushua is closer to returning, right? All of the war and thunderstorms that are currently going on across the earth, right? These are signs letting us know what times we are living in and how close we are to the end, right? And I wanted to play another video. Well, let me finish this one. All right.
Underway this morning. That's right. Guys, we've got two major areas. Good morning, folks. In the Mississippi, I should say, Ohio River valleys. Strong storms firing up. We already have flash flood warnings and watches for 16 million people. Then we move to the west, and we are looking at the risk of tornadoes and severe thunderstorms.
Right.
We've got severe.
You also have tornadoes that's going on that's in a lot of spots that normally tornadoes aren't at. I believe New York just had tornado warnings, and I don't think New York really gets tornadoes like that. Right? So you got stuff happening in places that normally they don't happen in.
Thunderstorm watches right now. Some tornado warnings currently in Nebraska. We're watching this very closely.
Even Chicago, and brothers from Chicago can correct me if I'm wrong, but even in Chicago, I don't believe they normally get tornadoes like that. But I could be wrong.
As it pushes through. So here's what we expect as far as severe weather through the evening. Take a look. We're talking 16 million people from Rapid City down to Evansville, just north of Nashville. For severe storms, we're talking about wind gusts of 60 miles per hour. Yesterday, some spots picked up wind gusts of almost 100. And we could be looking at this heavy rain anywhere from 4 to 5 inches of rain, stretching from Omaha all the way to Evansville, Indianapolis as well. And the heat is still on dangerous heat, stretching from Florida all the way into the plains for 52 million people. Heat watches, warnings, and advisories up. Temperatures 10 to 15 degrees above average as that jet stream way up to the north. So look at these heat indexes.
So the heat also has been in the triple digits for a minute now. I think, last time me and Aliyah, the other brother in South Carolina, Angels, South Carolina, we linked up with some brothers in Augusta, and I believe it was 100-something degrees down there while we was out there. So this heat has been high as well. It's been in the triple digits, like every couple of days. It's been in the triple digits. It's been very high.
Triple digits.
It's going to feel like 103 in Wilmington, Tupelo, 106, Corpus Christi, 107 tomorrow, stretching from Florida all the way up into the plains where we could see triple-digit heat indexes for Victoria, Texas, Laurel, Virginia Beach, 102. And guess what? No relief inside as we head into the weekend. Air temperatures from Orlando, Columbia, St. Louis to College Station, very close to 100. Factor in that humidity, and again, dangerous conditions. With triple-digit heat indexes, no relief in sight, right on into the weekend.
Right, and that just constant heat like that could kill a decent amount of people. Because a lot of people, especially Europeans, cannot tolerate that heat. Let's go into the earthquakes, because I also want to talk about that as well. That's been happening a lot. Let's see. Columbia earthquake. I'm not going to play all of these. I'm going to play, let's see. And a lot of these are people over here. Colombians.
Tonight, a powerful and deadly 7.4 magnitude earthquake
I believe.
wreaking havoc in
Grilled to order butter burgers and fresh frozen custard made in small batches. Welcome to Delicious.
Finding the right neighborhood matters just as much as finding the right house.
You can use school data, environmental layers, and lifestyle.
Yeah, the decent amount of our people die from this, as well as those Venezuela the Venezuelan earthquakes that happened like a month or two ago now, I believe.
Tonight, a power and deadly 7.4 magnitude earthquake wreaking havoc in Western Colombia, taking so many by surprise when it struck early this morning, reducing homes and buildings to rubble. Passengers at this airport holding pillars, racing during the moment of impact. One man screamed as the shaking intensifies. Outside this hospital in Ghana, part of the building collapsing on an ambulance as patients scrambled for safety. This one narrowly escaped falling concrete.
Right, it says 100 plus killed after powerful earthquake hits Colombia. I believe the death toll now is 200 something plus. So, I mean, it's getting pretty bad out here, man.
Churches damaged across the region, including this one. Watch the cross collapsing from its spire. Now, the urgent search for survivors. Rescue teams removing debris and working quickly to find those still trapped. Authorities say more than 100 people have died. Valerie Ryan from our NBC Miami station is in Bogota.
I was sleeping and I remember the bed shaking back and forth really long. And it's scary because in that moment you have this feeling of, I cannot control this. The epicenter of the quake, San Jose de Palmar.
Nearly 70 miles away in Pereira, people frantically running. Miami station is in Bogota.
I was sleeping and I remember the bed shaking back and forth really long. And it's scary because in that moment you have this feeling of, I cannot control this.
Right. And this is another reason why people need to repent, right, and come back to the Most High, because in times of trouble, you're not going to have anyone to call upon to save you from that. And unfortunately, a lot of our people are just going to have to, end up dying or going through whatever situation they're going through. Right? Salakia. Give this a second to load up. Let me see if I can. All right, there we go. Let's see. Right? The Asherite sister, well, I'm not sure what she could have been, but I know a lot of Asherites, a lot of tribe of Asher are over there in Colombia. But the sister said she was afraid, right? This is the book of Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 5, verse 7. Make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, and put not off from day to day, for suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come forth, and in thy security thou shalt be destroyed and perish in the day of vengeance. So you want to get right with the Lord, or in times of trouble, you're going to be in a position like what a lot of our people over there in South America and Central America are in right now. Right? And let's get more into the earthquakes, right? Let's see. Well, let me finish off Isaiah 29. It says, "Thou shalt be visited of the Lord of hosts with thunder and with earthquake and great noise, with storm and tempest and the flame of devouring fire." Right? This is the book of St. Matthew chapter 24 and verse 3. "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars." Salakia, let me start at Salakia. Verse 3. "And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world?" Verse 6. "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars." Right? Because a lot of wars also been going on too. It's not just natural disasters. You got a lot of things happening at once. "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom." Right? And you got a lot of, while Iran and America are going at it, you got a lot of other countries jumping into war, like Saudi Arabia and the Houthis. And I believe Saudi Arabia just made an alliance with Turkey and I can't remember the other place. But they just made an alliance with a couple of other countries. Verse 7 for Salakia. Yeah, verse 7. "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows." So, these are prophecies showing our people, right, that, stuff is getting ready to happen, right? It's only going to get worse and worse from here, right? Earthquakes are the beginning of sorrows, right? And there's a lot of earthquakes going on right now. And I also want to pull up something real quick, right? If you look up, anybody can look this up on the internet right now, right? Just go on Google. You can look up every major earthquake to happen in 2026. I believe that's what I looked up, right? This is the Colombian earthquake that just happened. I believe it was yesterday, or it might have been a day before yesterday. It's 7.4 Colombian earthquake, right? It's at the very top, right? These are all the earthquakes that have happened since the Venezuela earthquakes that killed thousands of people, right? Venezuela says 2026, 6/24, right? 7.2 and a 7.5. There was two that hit back to back, right? They killed a lot of our people. Those earthquakes killed a lot of our people over there. Since then, I believe this earthquake in Japan happened right after Venezuela. Since then, you've had all these earthquakes to happen up until the one that recently just happened. Mexico just got hit with a 7.3 not too long ago. I believe, that's last month. Right, so you've had earthquakes that's constantly happening. Some of these are small, right? I know America has been getting earthquakes as well, but they haven't been on the scale as these other earthquakes in these other countries, right? Japan been getting a lot of earthquakes. They're known to get a lot of earthquakes, right? So you got a lot of earthquakes going on right now. And you know, the Bible, Matthew 24 says this is the beginning of sorrows. This is how you know that a lot of death is getting ready to happen on the earth. And I also got another topic, right? Because you also, along with the storms and earthquakes and war, you also had, let's see, where is it? Yeah, see, this is more
hundreds of
videos on the storms that's been going on.
Full cart
right?
that's lighter on your wallet. That's a breath of fresh air. Use the code on screen for a $10 bonus purchase.
I don't think the brothers in Chicago, Angels of Yahweh,
are also waking up.
going through too much of bad weather, but I know Chicago been getting hit with bad weather.
In the dark this morning,
Right.
24 hours now.
And by now, maybe the NIPSCO customers, you might have to toss out whatever's in your refrigerators. There's places like Crown Point, Indiana, though, spoiled food is really the least of people's worries at this point. We sent Lauren Victory there to check out some of the damage causing these outages. Lauren, what are you seeing now that we have daylight out there?
Good morning. So 19,000 people just in Crown Point are without power. And here on South Street, we saw downed branches and limbs wherever you look. And we also see humongous trees like this that simply fell over. And if you see those parts of that tree are hanging over top of the power lines, definitely contributing to the outage problems here across the region. Nearly 275,000 people without power. And that's actually prompting a warning about gas from Indiana State Police. Sergeant Glenn.
And also, a lot of this stuff is going to bring about famine, right? Because the whole Iran Strait of Hormuz situation with the U.S. And also, you know, these tariffs on all these different countries and these wildfires that are burning a lot of land up and these storms that's knocking out power, right? A lot of stuff is just going to add up to famine, right? Which is going to kill a lot of people.
Fifield posted a plea to X for drivers to fill up outside Lake and Porter counties for the next few days. He says gas stations that are open may run out of fuel because they're running generators due to the lack of electricity. Indiana State Police also shared a video of power lines down across Interstate 65 yesterday. Troopers shut the highway down north of I-94 for hours, which caused long delays as seen by CBS Skywalker.
Not just because of storms going on, but because the situation with Iran, the gas prices are going to go up extremely high. You know, food, every time I walk in Dollar General, you know, I'm not sure what brothers have in other states. I'm sure they still deal with Dollar General, but every time I walk in Dollar General, prices are inching their way up. Like at one point, this drink that I usually get was like one something, and then, you know, the next time I go in there it's $2.75, and now if I go in there to get it, it's $2.90, right? And other things have been going up as well, and you know, this is just going to keep happening as long as America is, you know, going to war with Iran. And Iran just made a list of demands, right? And told the U.S. that U.S. ships and Israeli ships are banned. Within that demand, they said that U.S. ships and Israeli ships are banned from using the Strait of Hormuz, and that they have to pay Iran a lot of money, right? So you already know Donald Trump's not going to do that, right? All he's been talking about is peace, 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 right? But swift destruction is coming upon this place. There's nothing nobody can do to save Babylon the Great.
Watch, those lanes
are now back open.
The derecho knocked out power to more than 60% of NIPSCO customers, including nearly 10,000 homes in Highland. The power company says damage to its equipment is widespread and that full restoration will take several days. ComEd is dealing with similar issues on the Illinois side of the border, where also tens of thousands of customers remain without power.
This marks the 19th major weather event affecting ComEd customers in 2026, the highest number seen in 2 decades.
Right? The highest number seen in 2 decades. A lot of places aren't used to getting, bad weather like this. Right? This is new to a lot of people. Right? What did I want? Right, like I was talking about, you also have these fires that's been
Fox 12
going
was
crazy
on Fire Watch tonight. The
across
Grasshopper
multiple
Fire, which
states.
Stress. What stress? Disco can handle everything.
Oregon has just broken its all-time wildfire record, with 2 full months of fire season still ahead of it. Nationally, the U.S. is sitting at preparedness level 5, the highest tier there is, meaning firefighting resources across the entire country are stretched to their limit. A dozer operator has died fighting one fire in southern Oregon. A wildfire jumped a lake in Washington and is now burning on both shores at once. And in Spokane, more than 900 homes and buildings have been damaged or destroyed by fires that started inside city limits. I'm going to walk you through every major fire burning right now across Oregon and Washington, what's driving it, and what you need to do if you're anywhere near one of these fire zones. Let's get into it. Let's start with the numbers because they're staggering. Oregon has now confirmed its worst wildfire season on record. As of this week, roughly 2 million acres have burned statewide, surpassing the previous record set back in 2024. And fire officials say the most dangerous stretch of the season, August and September, is still ahead. Zoom out further, and it gets worse. Nationally, the U.S. has now burned more than 6 million acres year-to-date, according to the National Interagency Fire Center's latest situation report, well above the 10-year average for this point in the season. The national preparedness level has been sitting at level 5, the maximum, since mid-July. That means when a new fire starts today, it may not get the same air and ground response it would have gotten back in June, simply because there aren't resources left to send. The Northwest region alone has roughly 50 large, uncontained fires and nearly 20,000 personnel assigned. This is one of the most severe fire seasons the region has seen in decades. Let's start with the fire carrying real human cost right now. The Wright Spring Fire, burning in the Fremont-Winema National Forest near Sprague River in Klamath County, has grown to nearly 47,000 acres and remains at 0% containment. It started August 5th, and its cause is still unknown. This fire has already taken a life. Jason Ensign, a 47-year-old dozer operator working the fire line in the Yahweh Plateau area, was killed when the fire made a sudden, extreme run driven by a fast-moving weather event. Governor Tina Kotek has invoked Oregon's Emergency Conflagration Act for this fire, which pulls in additional structural firefighting resources from outside the immediate area. Multiple level 3 go now evacuation zones are in effect, along with a number of level 2 and level 1 zones stretching through the Sprague River, Bliss Road, and Skeene Ranch Road areas. Road closures are in effect on Sprague River Road and Bliss Road. If you're in Klamath County, this is one to watch closely. Now to Washington State and the most resource-intensive fire in the entire region. The Little Giant Fire, burning about 30 miles northwest of Leavenworth in the Okanogan-Wenatchee National Forest, has burned more than 111,000 acres and is only
111,000 acres. Right? Hey, you got a lot of land that's being burnt up. Right? I'm not going to play too much more of that, but a bunch of different news networks
Fox 12 is
that
on
I've
fire
seen,
watch tonight. The
they've
grasshopper
said
fire,
that
which is burning in the
there
Mountain
are
View National
95
Forest,
plus
continues to grow. As of this morning, the fire
fires
has
in
burned just
multiple
over
states
57,000 acres.
that they
Containment
can't put
remains
out.
at 23%. About
So
1,300 people are battling the
you
flames
got
from the ground and
fires,
sky.
you got earthquakes, you have storms, right? And you have war going on. All right, back to Isaiah chapter 29, verse 6. Thou shalt be visited of the Lord of hosts with thunder and with earthquake and great noise, with storm and tempest and the flame of devouring fire. Right? That's literally what we just seen in the video. Right? Ecclesiasticus chapter 39 and verse 29. Fire and hell and famine and death, all these were created for vengeance. So the Most High is bringing upon vengeance upon this wicked kingdom, right? That has enslaved, raped, robbed, and murdered his chosen people, right? This is the 250th year anniversary of America. Let me see. And like I said earlier in the video, all of this is just going to add up to famines happening, right? The wildfires, the storms knocking out power, the earthquakes, the war that's going on. It's going to raise food prices, and you also have data centers that are currently being built across the U.S. that's draining large amounts of water, right? So you got a lot of stuff that's just going to add up to there being no food or water here, right? And I want to get 2nd Esdras chapter 16 whenever this can load. All right. Salakia, y'all, for my phone being slow. We also been having like internet problems in this like whole region. I've also been hearing about internet issues in like other parts of the U.S. Stuff dealing with hackers and stuff like that. So this place is just falling apart. All right. This is the book of 2nd Esdras chapter 16, and really this whole chapter, right? This whole chapter is good, talking about different things like plagues and famine. I'm gonna start at verse 4. Right? 2nd Esdras chapter 16 verse 4. A fire is sent among you, and who may quench it? Right? Because they can't put out these fires that's currently happening in multiple states. Verse 9. A fire shall go forth from his wrath, and who is he that may quench it? So again, who can really put out these fires? It's up to the Most High whether he want the fires to be put out, right? They can't do it. Them firefighters can't do a damn thing to put those fires out. Let's see. This is the book, or Salakia. Let me what was that I went on the okay, here it is, verse 22. And also you have a lot of, in Second Ezra 16, it talks a lot about plagues. You also have like different diseases and things like that that's currently going on. I know a lot of people probably forgot about the hantavirus. The last thing I heard about that was that multiple people in different states had it, right? People just forgot about that, right? You also got different diseases that I've been hearing about regarding like cattle and stuff like this. Again, all of this is to bring about a famine. There's not going to be any food to eat. There's not going to be any water to drink, right? And this was, a lot of people are going to, perish because of this. A lot of people are going to end up dying because there's no food or water. This is the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 16 verse 22. For many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. So if you don't die from starving to death, which a lot of people are going to die because they're not going to have food or water, then you're more than likely you're going to die to either war or, if you have food and water, somebody's going to kill you with a gun or whatever method they decide to use, and then they're going to take what you have. So you're going to have this whole chapter is going into famine and different things such as that. But that's the main point I wanted to address. Like I said earlier, you want to get right with the Lord while we still have time, right? I'm not sure if I read Matthew 24. I'll read it again. This is the book of St. Matthew, chapter 24. I'm going to start at verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? Verse 6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, right? You've had Ukraine and Russia going at it for years now, right? And over time, you've had other countries joining in war and fighting against each other. Right now, America and Iran can't seem to make peace. It's just not happening, right? And you also have Israel versus Gaza. I wouldn't even call that a war because Gaza is just getting annihilated. But, you have all this war that's going on, right? Verse 7, continuing on, and there shall be famines, like I was just going into in 2nd Esdras, right? There shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places, right? You've had all these major earthquakes in Central and Southern America and the Asian continent, right? You've had earthquakes in a bunch of diverse places. You've also had a lot of pestilence going on, a lot of different diseases out here, right? And all of this, along with war and these bad storms and fire burning up land, is going to cause famine, right? All of these are the beginning of sorrows. So I'm going to read verse 9. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Right? So you have all of this stuff in verse 7 happening right now. And verse 8 says all these are the beginning of sorrows. Verse 9 is when we're going to start to be delivered up and killed for the name of Yahweh Shai, right? Verse 13, but he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. So we have to continue in the faith and not waver, you know. Of course, brothers and sisters, you want to make sure that you're paying attention to a lot of this stuff that's going on. It's a lot going on right now. Right? There's a little bit more on that, but I'm going to end it off with that. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Call Halal Yahweh, Bahashem, Hamashiach, Wamalak Yahweh Shai. Kwam Yashrala, Shalom.